You think you're stressed. But what if stress isn't the whole story? The brain region responsible for focus, decision-making, planning, and self-control, the prefrontal cortex, can become overloaded when it's asked to process too much for too long. When that happens, thinking becomes slower, decisions become harder, emotions feel stronger, and even simple tasks require more effort than they should. Researchers have shown that prolonged mental overload can temporarily reduce cognitive performance, even after the stressful event has ended. So if you've been blaming stress for the brain fog, the forgetfulness, and the inability to concentrate, you may only be seeing part of the picture. Most people experience this without ever having a name for it. You sit down to work and you can't get started. You read the same paragraph 3 times and retain nothing. You make a small decision and it drains you more than it should. You tell yourself you just need to push through. You tell yourself you're being lazy. You blame sleep or diet or the season. But here's what's actually happening. Your brain has been switching tasks constantly. It's been processing notifications, making micro decisions, suppressing distractions, managing conversations, and solving problems, all at the same time, all day long. That's not stress in the traditional sense. That's cognitive overload. And they are related, but they are not the same thing. Stress is often emotional. Cognitive overload is computational. It's what happens when your brain's executive system is asked to run too many processes simultaneously and runs out of capacity to do any of them well. Here's what most people never hear. The exhaustion you feel at the end of a hard day isn't always physical. You may have barely moved. You may have sat at a desk. But your brain was working at full capacity for hours. And that has a cost. Mental effort is real effort. The brain consumes energy. It generates metabolic waste. It requires downtime to restore itself. And when it doesn't get that downtime, when the inputs keep coming, the decisions keep arriving, the screens keep demanding attention, it accumulates a kind of debt. And that debt doesn't disappear when the workday ends. Many people carry it into the evening, into dinner, into conversations with the people they love. They're physically present, but mentally somewhere else. Still processing, still replaying, still trying to close mental loops that won't close on their own. This isn't a character flaw. This is biology. Let's talk about what's actually happening inside the brain. The prefrontal cortex sits just behind your forehead. It acts like the brain's chief executive, managing working memory, attention, planning, decision-making, and impulse control. It's what allows you to think before you speak, to consider long-term consequences, to stay focused on a goal even when distractions appear, to regulate emotional reactions that your deeper, more reactive brain systems generate automatically. But unlike a computer, it has limited processing capacity. It was not designed for constant high-volume input. Research suggests that prolonged stress and excessive cognitive demands can temporarily reduce the efficiency of these executive functions. The neural circuits involved in prefrontal processing become less precise. Response times slow down. Working memory, the system that holds information in mind while you use it, becomes less reliable. That's why your thinking becomes slower. That's why you forget things you just heard. That's why you snap at someone over something small. Not because you're weak, not because something is wrong with you, but because your brain is operating near its processing limits, and it doesn't have a warning light to tell you. Here is the part that surprises most people. Even after a stressful meeting ends, even after the deadline passes, the crisis resolves, the difficult conversation finishes. Your mental performance may not immediately return to normal. Your brain often needs time to recover from sustained cognitive load. The systems that were running at maximum capacity don't reset the moment the pressure lifts. They need actual recovery to secure rest, quiet, low-demand time to restore their baseline function. This is why many people still feel mentally exhausted hours after the original stress has passed. It's why the evening after a hard day at work can feel strangely difficult. Harder to make decisions, harder to follow a conversation, harder to enjoy things that usually bring relief. your brain isn't broken. It's recovering. And recovery takes longer than most of us allow for. This also explains something else. Why weekends don't always feel restful. If Saturday and Sunday are filled with social obligations, errands, decisions, screens, and stimulation, the brain never actually gets the downtime it's waiting for. Monday arrives and the recovery still hasn't happened. You start the week already depleted. When overload becomes chronic, when it happens week after week, month after month, without adequate recovery, the effects begin to compound. People often experience decision fatigue, where even small choices feel disproportionately difficult. Poor concentration, where the ability to stay focused on a single task gradually shortens. Emotional reactivity, where reactions feel harder to control. Reduced working memory, where holding and using information in the mind becomes noticeably impaired. Difficulty planning, where thinking ahead and organizing priorities requires more effort than it once did. Then lower overall productivity, not because you're doing less, but because the efficiency with which your brain processes work has declined. These are not signs of burnout in the dramatic sense. They're quiet, gradual changes that accumulate slowly, until one day the gap between how you used to think and how you think now becomes impossible to ignore. This is why so many people wake up already exhausted, not because today's workload is heavy, not because something difficult is coming, but because yesterday's mental load, and the day before that, and the week before that, never fully cleared. The brain went to sleep still carrying it. And sleep, while essential, isn't always enough to undo chronic overload, especially when sleep itself is disrupted by the residual cognitive and emotional activation that unprocessed load creates. You lie down, and your mind keeps running. You wake up before the alarm, and you're already thinking. You move through the morning in a fog that doesn't lift until midday. And by then, the next wave of demands has already begun. This is the cycle. And most people living inside it don't realize it's a cycle. They think this is just what life feels like now. It doesn't have to. The research points toward a clear direction. The goal is not to tolerate more load. The goal is to reduce unnecessary load and to protect the recovery your brain actually needs. Prioritize fewer tasks, not a longer list managed more efficiently, but fewer genuine priorities, so your executive system isn't constantly switching between competing demands. Reduce constant interruptions, because every interruption costs more than the time it takes. It also costs the mental effort of re-engaging with what you were doing before. Limit unnecessary multitasking, because the brain doesn't truly multitask. It switches rapidly between tasks, and each switch carries a cognitive cost. Protect your sleep, because sleep is when the brain consolidates memory, clears metabolic waste, and restores the prefrontal systems that overload degrades. It isn't optional recovery. It's essential maintenance. Take restorative breaks, short pauses during the day, especially ones involving low stimulation, nature, or quiet. Allow partial recovery before the load accumulates further. Move your body regularly, because exercise has been shown to support prefrontal function and build resilience to cognitive stress over time. And practice mindfulness or focused breathing, because even brief periods of intentional attention regulation can reduce the physiological and cognitive effects of overload. The goal isn't to become tougher. The goal is to give your brain enough genuine recovery that it can perform the way it was designed to, with clarity, with focus, with the capacity to make good decisions when they matter most. Stress isn't always the enemy. Sometimes it sharpens you. Sometimes it raises your game exactly when you need it. Sometimes the pressure produces your best work. The real problem begins when your brain carries more than it can continuously process. When the demands never stop, the recovery never comes, and a system built for bursts of high performance is asked to run at maximum capacity indefinitely, day after day. That's not stress anymore. That's depletion. And the difference matters, because you can't solve depletion by pushing harder. You solve it by finally giving your brain what it has been quietly asking for all along. When you reduce unnecessary cognitive load, you don't just feel better. You think more clearly. You make sharper decisions. You find yourself present in conversations again, not just there in body, but actually there. And slowly, the mental clarity you thought you had lost starts to return. Not because something changed on the outside, but because you finally gave your mind the conditions it needs to restore itself. Your brain isn't failing you. It never was. It has been doing exactly what a brain under sustained overload is designed to do. Protecting itself, conserving resources, slowing down before something breaks. It has been asking for recovery in the only language it has: exhaustion, fog, and friction. Now you know what it's asking for. If this documentary gave you a new way of understanding what's happening inside your own mind, please take a moment to like this video. It helps more people find content like this when they need it most. And if you know someone who keeps saying they're just stressed, share this with them. It might be the most useful thing they watch this week. For more documentaries that go beneath the surface of human psychology, brain science, mental performance, and the hidden patterns shaping everyday life, subscribe to Detect How Well and turn on notifications so you never miss our next investigation. We don't do surface level. We go deeper. Thanks for watching. And remember, understanding how your mind actually works is not a luxury. It's the foundation of everything else.